It's a bunch of adults playing teenagers. This is a review of Masks, New Generation. Let's dive in. Here we have Masks, a New Generation. This is by Brendan Conway with a copyright date of 2016, so kind of a little bit older, and published by Magpie Games. Now, this is another one of those powered by the Apocalypse Engine games. So, let's take a look at the back. Masks, A New Generation is a superhero role-playing game in which a team of young heroes fight villains, save lives, and tries to figure out who they are. Noble paragons, dark avengers, or regular kids, all against the backdrop of Halcyon City, the greatest city in the world. Masks makes use of the same rules light engine as Apocalypse World, Monster Hearts, Dungeon World, Urban Shadows, and Epilion to create stories about young superheroes in the vein of Young Justice, Young Avengers, and Teen Titans. And just like with Monster of the Week, our table of contents is pretty straightforward. I mean, it follows a very similar pattern where on one side you're going to get the whole character creation with the playbooks and all of that, with the latter half being all of the advice for the GMs and how to run this game. Speaking of character creation, let's get into it. Character creation is very, very simple and easy, and all you really need is the playbook or your character class. The playbook tells you just about everything you need to know in setting up your character, and really all you need is a good GM to kind of walk you through the whole process. There is a point in the character creation process where you actually do stop and you kind of tie in your relationships and your backstory with some of the other characters on your team. And really what it comes down to is selecting your stats, and every playbook has a different selection. So then what are the different playbooks? There's actually 10 different masks, as they call them here. You have the Beacon, the heart of the team, low powered, low angst. They're a hero because they want to be, and they're driven always upward. Then there's the Bull, the bruiser with a heart of gold, created to be a weapon, caught between being a cold, gruff fighter and caring deeply about teammates. We have the Delinquent, the troublemaker and attention seeker, rabble-rouser, and rebel. Tricks, deception, and provocation are their hallmarks. We have the Doomed, the dramatic martyr, cursed to ultimately lose their self to some terrible fate and up against a terrible nemesis. By the way, if you plan on playing the Doomed, prepare for a very dark type of a game. Then we have the Janus, the hero with a dual life, required to have a secret identity. They struggle to manage two lives at once. We have the Legacy, the latest in a family of heroes, part of a larger tradition of heroism with its own enemies, rules, and obligations. We have the Nova, the overpowered conflagration. They can reshape the world, but it's hard to control so much power, and if they fail, others get hurt. The Outsider, the alien with strange powers. They're from somewhere else, and they're trying to decide between staying here or going home. The Protege, the extremely well-trained understudy, defined by a strong relationship with one adult figure, their mentor. And last but not least, the Transformed, the monstrous appearance and human mind. They used to be a regular person, but they were changed forever. So each of the different playbooks have different starting stats or labels, as we call them, and just different things in their background, as well as some personal moves to choose from. Let's talk about the labels real quick. So stats, or labels as they're known here, are actually different as they are in Monster of the Week or any other iteration of the Powered by the Apocalypse Engine game that I've come across. Or rather, it's the concept that is different. You see, labels are how your hero kind of view themselves. It can go up and it can go down, hence why we see danger. Actually, all of these labels go from -2 to +3. This concept really baffled me, or at least it did until I figured out what kind of game Masks is. You see, Masks is more about the social interactions your teenage character has with other teenage characters, but with a superhero backdrop. Yes, you do get to fight villains and stuff typical of being a superhero, but the main gameplay aspect, What the moves are really pointing towards are the social interactions with other heroes. Who has influence over who? How do others view your character? How does your character view themselves? And etc. So let's take an in-depth look at the actual labels themselves. There's actually 5 different labels, or stats. We have danger, seeing yourself as threatening, strong, bloody-knuckled, and risky. You have freak, seeing yourself as strange, unusual, unique, and powerful. We have savior, seeing yourself as defending, guarding, protecting, and stalwart. We have superior, seeing yourself as smart, capable, crafty, and quick. And then we have mundane, seeing yourself as normal, human, empathetic, and understanding. So every playbook comes with a predetermined set of values for your labels. You can add +1 to any one label of your choice during character creation, making sure it doesn't go over +3. It is very important to note that if a label would shift up past +3 or down past -2, then no shift at all occurs. Neither of the 2 labels that would change goes up or down. Instead, you mark a condition. So you can never become too powerful in your mind or too insecure, let's just say. So after you go ahead and set your labels, you go over your backstory, and it's kind of different for every playbook, and then you determine your relationship with the other characters. Who has influence over you, and who do you have influence over who, I suppose. It's pretty straightforward, and your GM will guide you through it. There's nothing really too baffling about it, and the whole process takes less than 10 minutes, in my opinion. So then, how do you actually play the game? A Powered by the Apocalypse engine game is all about the moves. These are actions when something is in doubt or drama is needed. In Masks, there are 7 basic moves that everyone has access to. Now, in order to actually use a move, you take 2d6 and you roll them, and you consult that specific move for which label you're going to roll. So let's take a look at the 7 different moves. First, we have directly engage a threat. When you directly engage a threat, roll plus danger. On a hit, trade blows. On a 10 plus, pick 2. On a 7 through 9, pick 1. Resist or avoid their blows. Take something from them. Create an opportunity for your allies. Impress, surprise, or frighten the opposition. If you roll a 6 or lower, it is a miss. Then we have Unleash Your Powers. When you unleash your powers to overcome an obstacle, reshape your environment, or extend your senses, roll plus freak. On a hit, you do it. On a 7 through 9, mark a condition, or the GM will tell you how the effect is unstable or temporary. We have Defend Someone. When you defend someone or something from an immediate threat, roll plus Savior. For NPC threats, on a hit, you keep them safe and choose 1. On a 7 through 9, it costs you. Expose yourself to danger or escalate the situation. Add a team to the pool. Take influence over someone you protect. Clear a condition. For PC threats, on a hit, give them -2 to their roll. On a 7 through 9, you expose yourself to cost, retribution, or judgment. And we have Assess the Situation. When you assess the situation, roll plus Superior. On a 10 plus, ask 2. On a 7 through 9, ask 1. Take +1 while acting on the answers. What here can I use to fill in the blank? What here is the biggest threat? What here is in the greatest danger? Who here is most vulnerable to me? How could we best end this quickly? We have Provoke Someone. When you provoke someone susceptible to your words, say what you're trying to get them to do and roll plus Superior. For NPCs, on a 10 plus, they rise to the bait and do what you want. On a 7 through 9, they can instead choose 1. They stumble, you take +1 forward against them. They err, you gain a critical opportunity. They overreact, you gain influence over them. For PCs on a 10 plus, both. On a 7 through 9, choose one of the following. If they do it, add a team to the pool. If they don't do it, they mark a condition. Then we have Comfort or Support Someone. When you comfort or support someone, roll plus Mundane. On a hit, they hear you. They mark potential, clear a condition, or shift labels if they open up to you. On a 10 plus, you can also add a team to the pool or clear a condition yourself. Pierce the Mask. When you pierce someone's mask to see the person beneath, roll plus Mundane. On a 10 plus, ask 3. On a 7 through 9, ask 1. What do you intend to do? How could I get your character to fill in the blank? How could I gain influence over you? What are you really planning? What do you want me to do? And then there's take a powerful blow. When you take a powerful blow, roll plus conditions marked. On a 10 plus, choose 1. You must remove yourself from the situation, flee, pass out. You lose control of yourself or your powers in a terrible way. 2 options from the 7 through 9 list, which are as follows. You lash out verbally, provoke a teammate to foolhardy action, or take advantage of your influence to inflict a condition. You give ground, your opposition gets an opportunity. Or you struggle past the pain, mark 2 conditions. On a miss, you stand strong. Mark potential as normal and say how you weather the blow. I should point out that take a powerful blow is one of the very few moves where rolling low is to your benefit. In addition, each playbook has a selection of moves specific to that playbook, but something that's unique to Masks is the addition of advanced moves, or adult moves as they call them. So the adult superheroes of Halcyon City can do things the younger heroes can't quite pull off. As the younger heroes grow in confidence, power, and ability, their capabilities mature. Adult moves are essentially a more powerful version of the basic moves, but they don't replace the basic moves. Just because you can now overwhelm a vulnerable foe doesn't mean you can't directly engage a threat. So we have a few adult moves. First one is wield your powers. When you wield your powers with precision or grace, roll plus freak. On a hit, choose 1. On a 10 plus, choose 2. Take hold of something vulnerable to you. Create something useful from your environment, or neutralize an opponent or threat, at least for now. Then we have overwhelm a vulnerable foe. When you overwhelm a vulnerable foe, roll plus danger. On a hit, the fight's over. They're done. On a 10 plus, choose 1. On a 7 through 9, choose 2. You take a powerful blow in turn. You hurt your foe more than you intended. You cause serious collateral damage. Then we have persuade with best interests. When you persuade someone with their best interests, roll plus superior. If they're an NPC, on a 10 plus, they buy it and act accordingly. On a 7 through 9, they need concrete assurance right now. If they're a PC, on a hit, they can mark potential or shift their own labels if they do what you want. On a 10 plus, take influence over them as well. And then we have empathize. When you openly empathize with someone, roll plus mundane. On a hit, they must reveal a vulnerability or mark a condition. On a 10 plus, take influence over them as well. And last but not least, we have stand up for something. When you stand up for something, roll plus savior. On a 10 plus, choose 2. On a 7 through 9, choose 1. Listeners can't keep doing what they're doing. Listeners can't flee without addressing you. Or listeners can't attack you without losing status or position. As I've already stated, I feel like Masks is about the social situations that teenagers find themselves in with a superhero coat. Some of the moves enable this statement as they give influence to other characters. In fact, influence is a major component of the game. Influence is a way of measuring whose words, actions, opinions, and examples have meaning to you. If someone has influence over you, then you care about what they think and say. By default, adults have influence over PCs. The young heroes care what the adults tell them. Over time, they'll be able to take influence away from the people they don't want to listen to. And it's also binary. You either have it or you don't. Of course, you can also reject someone's influence. When you reject someone's influence, roll. On a hit, you successfully hold to yourself and tune them out. On a 10 plus, choose 2. On a 7 through 9, choose 1. Clear a condition or mark potential by immediately acting to prove them wrong. Shift one label up and one label down, your choice. Or cancel their influence and take +1 forward against them. On a miss, their words hit you hard. Mark a condition and the GM adjusts your labels. So then, what about combat? I mean, this is a superhero game after all, and combat is sure to come up. Upon entering combat, you take the enter battle against a dangerous foe as team move. So when you enter battle against a dangerous foe as a team, you add 2 to the team pool. If the leader has influence over every teammate, add another team. If everyone has the same purpose in a fight, add another team. If any team member mistrusts the leader or the team, remove a team. If your team is ill prepared or off balance, remove a team. The leader of the team can mark a condition to avoid removing a team from the pool, and you proceed with combat. Now, it's up to the GM to make sure that all the characters in the scene receive the spotlight, just like how it is with Monster of the Week. And there is also no initiative or turn order. Instead, what you do is you give the spotlight to one of the heroes, and they can choose to gain some sort of advantage or attack that villain. And of course, when you attack a villain, you kind of trade blows, and then the GM has certain moves that they can use as well, whether soft or hard. Now, I've kind of spoken a little bit about team, but what exactly is team? Team is a resource that the team of young superheroes can use to help each other out. It represents their unity, their connection, and their coordination, but it's pretty intangible. A squad of superheroes with a lot of team doesn't look different, but they're much more prepared to work together. Honestly, I kind of really wish they had used any other verb or word for this, maybe even team points or TP, because just saying team as a resource while being as a part of a team is kind of awkward. And that's pretty much how to play the game. It's mainly narrative with some mechanics to help drive the narrative forward. If you are new to being a GM, then there are definitely some great tips for how to handle like a session 0 and even what to do for the first session. I think one area that could have used a little bit more is the section on villains. There is an example villain, but it would have been nice to have some archetypes to pull in the heat of the moment, like actual example villains that are unique and different from one another. But I do understand that the player characters are supposed to create the villains that you're going up against. That makes it much more personal. Villains and mooks, however, are fairly interesting. First, you create a name, and you designate what generation they're from. Then you choose a drive. What drives the villain? What is their goal? You're going to have to create 1 to 5 villain moves. Again, there is very little direction on this other than make sure that the name of the move is descriptive and does what you want it to do. And last, you're going to choose 1 to 5 conditions for the villain. This is kind of like their pseudo HP. Basically, whenever a villain takes a hard hit, they mark a condition. When they mark a condition, but they can't because there aren't any more, then they are defeated. And every time a villain marks a condition, they get to make a move from that move list immediately. And there's all sorts of different moves that they can do. For example, Afraid has 5. Hide out of harm's way, flee from danger or difficulty, lash out without thought or at a threat, plead for mercy, or throw up blocks and walls. This mechanic definitely better helps the narrative. It's a little awkward to understand at first, especially if you're more used to the numbers as hit points system like every other RPG is. But I actually kind of do like this in a way. It sort of reminds me of Sentinel Comics, the role-playing game, and how you have to go to a die that's lower. I also really like how each of the different playbooks have specific moves that the GM can pull. As in, for the Beacon, you can draw attention to their inadequacies. You can praise their best traits, make them pay for their audacity, compare them to the others, or play to their drives. And there's a set of 5 different moves for each of the different playbooks. And I really do like that. It makes those villains seem a little bit more personal. And last, I really like their information on arcs and how it's presented here in this book. It's easy to understand and can help new GMs get their ideas to the table. It isn't anything fancy, but it does what it's supposed to do. So you're going to basically choose an archetype, and there's 5 different arcs to choose from corruption, invasion, restriction, destruction, and restoration. And they each have different things that you can pull from, like corruption subtypes or even corruption moves that are specific to the corruption. and then you kind of put them into different phases. The book gives out an example where there's 3 different phases. It's like setting the board phase, making a move phase, and then the end game phase. So very basic, but in the hands of a budding new GM, this could prove very useful. Every once in a while, someone on Reddit will ask, me and my group want to get into a supers game. What should I get? And Masks is usually one of the ones that's up there in suggestions. And I don't really agree to this to a certain amount of degree. Mainly because I don't think that most people who are wanting to play a supers game are going to be into what Masks is offering. As I've stated multiple times in this review, I feel like Masks is about playing teenagers and their social interactions with each other and with adults, but with the superhero backdrop. Would I play this with my group? No, but then again, I'm not really a big enough fan of Teen Titans or Young Justice to really go for that dynamic. And by the way, I've never even watched Young Justice, so... There are other games that I would play that emulate being a superhero. Sentinels Comics, RPG, and Mutants and Masterminds are 2 of the ones that are probably higher up on the list. But that does not mean that you might not enjoy Masks. If you like Young Justice or Teen Titans, Young Avengers, any of those teenage superhero shows or cartoons out there, or you like to produce drama, then this might be more of your style of game. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Give this video a huge thumbs up to support this series, and I will see you guys in the next video.